Alright, so if I'm doing this animated logo in Premiere, for people virtual that don't have After Effects, we would start a new project. We can call this animated logo.
I didn't know you could do stuff like that in Premiere, honestly.
I didn't really either until I started poking around, but there is a video effect to generate. So we actually did the bevel alpha. They have that, and the it's not a light sweep, but there's like kind of spotlights, and then you just animate them, the location of them. I don't think you're going to be able to do that background stuff though in there, but I'm going to find out here. All right, so once we get our project started, we'll import our logo just like we did otherwise. All right, and instead of just dragging it to the timeline, because that will make the frame, the aspect ratio, whatever the logo is, I'm going to say File, New Sequence, and to get a similar frame resolution of 1920 by 1080, we would use AVC HD 1080, AVC HD 1080 30, which gives you a frame rate a little higher than what we had in After Effects, but you know, going from 24 to 30 is only going to make your resolution better. Alright, so we have our sequence created. We would just take our logo and drag it onto our timeline. I'm going to kind of zoom in so I can see that a little closer. Alright, I'm going to change my duration of this to about 10 seconds. Did I do that right? So there's 10 seconds. Because that's what I know my final animation is going to be. To scale it in Premiere, we select it, go to our editing tab, and I can scale the logo from there. Alright, we want a gray background in here or a different color. I can say new item. We do have color matte is what we're going to use for this. Same size obviously, and then we would choose our color. So that creates an item in your project folder. I would just drag this over here, which then I just have to do some layer organization and bring that underneath of it. And basically we have the same setup now as we did in After Effects. Alright, to get our effects on there, we're going to appropriately go to that Effect tab. We can go to Video Effects, and we see here we have those very similar ones. So we have Perspective, Bevel Alpha. We'll just drag that onto our logo, and there we go. We have our edge being beveled there, and I can play around with those same settings to get it a little bit thicker there, getting some light intensity also. Alright, then we did our generate, and so now is where it gets to be a little different. Alright, so we don't have a light sweep, but I use the lens flare. Alright, and there probably could be other things you can do here, but if I get my lens flare, it starts very bright, so I'm going to decrease that brightness, and then I have my center point just like we did before. Alright, so I would start it over here, I would keyframe it, go to about 5 seconds so that we have time for 2 of them, and then I'll move my center point over to the right so that lens flare is going to move through like that. Alright, and I can kind of test it by doing that. Alright, and then I will apply a second light sweep or a lens flare. So I'm going to drag it on again, decrease my brightness, and at this point now I will say my center point I want to be, I'm going to have it start at the top now instead, and I can animate that to move down to the bottom later on. Alright, so now I have it moves across and then down. All right, so there's our animations. Just going to look and see here. Do we have any noise? Oh, we do have noise and gain. And we have... we'll see what we can add here. So I will... Let's see, if I add some noise to my color mat... Alright, so you get this kind of granular look to this, which isn't quite the same as what we saw on in After Effects, so that's why we're saying there's really a benefit to doing that. Let's see if there's anything else in this generate. I mean, we do have a cell pattern you can use, which that was similar. So just try to get a background texture in there, and I think that would kind of be a good attempt. And then we would just have our sound effect that would be imported and then export the video. So we can get pretty close in Premiere as we did in After Effects.